I'm Josh Fenton, CEO and co-founder. It is Christmas Eve. Welcome, everybody. If you haven't been on the site yet this morning, take a look. We start our annual countdowns on just about everything, and today was the first half of 20 who made a difference in 2020. Take a look at that list. It's everything from high-level CEOs to Providence police officers to some elected officials who made a difference. It's all across the board. Take a minute and take a look at the first 10. The second 10 run tomorrow, and then we go into 21 to watch in 21 and Man and Woman of the Year and a whole bunch of great end of the year wrap-ups. But don't want to delay. We're going to go to Dr. Michael Fine, former Director of Health. Dr. Fine, thanks so much for joining us.
Great honor to be here.
So I'd say let's go to the numbers, but the Department of Health seems to be having numbers problems today. I don't know if the office Christmas party has kicked off and there's too much virtual fun going on via Zoom or something, but they have no numbers today. The numbers have been a little confusing the past few days. There were number issues on Monday. It looked like there were number issues yesterday. There were some fact issues by the governor yesterday. There's no numbers today, so we're not exactly in a high performance structure right now. Hopefully we'll get some numbers and we'll get those out to everybody. But no matter how you cut it, Rhode Island is 6th in the country in the most cases per 100,000. We're at the absolute top tier according to COVID Act now. We continue to be amongst the states with the highest death rates per 100,000. We're amongst the highest states overall for number of cases since this began. We're in the eye of the storm. We continue to be in the eye of the storm. What's your take, Dr. Fine, on where we are and where we're going based on the trends and all the numbers you and I look at every single day?
Well, before I say that, I do have to say that I'm pretty sure my old colleagues at the Department of Health are working hard. They may not have gotten to this, but they are working hard. I got an email from one of them at 11:30 at night. So they're there. They're
so the Christmas party started last night, and thus they're not yet in at 2 o'clock yet today. I'm just teasing.
They've been working hard from the beginning, and I got to give them credit for doing the best they can with very limited resources. That said, we're not in a good place. I mean, we've got way too much disease. And we've got way too much disease that have put us on the, we're sort of on the launching pad for way more disease, unless an unusual amount of vaccine gets here right away and we can distribute it widely, and I don't think that's in the cards. So I'm expecting a very tough January. And if there's any problem with vaccine flow, I'm expecting a tougher February, a heartbreaking January, and a heart-wrenching February, unless there's some divine intervention at this point.
Yeah, listen, all the numbers, you look at one set of numbers, I generally look at the New York Times, you look at the Worldometer. The Worldometer is functionally a day ahead but even the New York Times number, I believe today's numbers, yesterday's, was the second deadliest day in the United States. This virus is not going away. All indications are that January and February are going to be very difficult. I thought it was interesting that one of the big pieces of news this morning was that the U.S. government, federal government, has bought another 1 million doses of Pfizer. That won't be available until, I think, 70 million of it in June, 30 million in July. I may have that backwards, but 100 million doses, enough for 50 million people. They're not expecting to we're not closing the circle anytime soon if they're still buying $100 million of doses for June and July delivery. That means July and August vaccinations.
And it also, to me, means that they're worried about AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson. I think lots of people have hope in those two vaccines because they're simpler and cheaper. Lord knows I can't second guess the federal government, but it looks like they're they're worried about the ability to deliver on the vaccination of the entire population. Remember, they already have 100 million Pfizer doses lined up for in the next couple of months. I think they've got the same number of Moderna doses, so I'm not seeing where the others fit into this pie, and it makes me worried that our ability to actually vaccinate may be postponed to September, October, November. The incoming Surgeon General said something to that effect over the last 24 hours to look for no complete vaccination until September or October. And he's a smart and reliable guy who I trust a lot.
So if you really think about it, we've got 100 million of Pfizer in the queue now, 100 million. These are doses, not individuals. 100 million in Moderna, another 100 million announced today. A purchase of Pfizer, I believe that's 300 million doses, 150 million people in the United States to be vaccinated. That still leaves about another 180 million people that there's no supply for as of yet.
Yeah, so remember, at the moment, we're not vaccinating children, and that's probably about a third of the population. So, the actual doses that we need to immunize adults, who are the people at greatest risk, looks like we probably need 200 to 220 million doses. And it looks like those are beginning to come together, but, it would make me feel a lot nicer if I knew there were 440 million doses ready to go tomorrow. It's going to take a while, it looks like. And, that day can't come soon enough from my perspective, because we just have not delivered on the public health approaches to preventing the spread of this vaccine.
Yeah,
This virus, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Dr. Fine, I think there's growing hope that the vaccines will, over time, help us regain a normalization of life. Do we have the patience and the discipline? We haven't shown great discipline as a country, but whatever discipline we have right now as a community, whether it's in Providence, Rhode Island, or Central Falls, or Scituate, or in the United States, can we sustain that discipline for 8, 10, 11, 12 months? I mean, we're in December, and the new Surgeon General is talking about September or potentially even October.
I think that is yet to be seen. This is kind of biblical. We have a choice. If we do it, we save lives. If we don't do it, we lose lives, and lose lots of lives. And the choice is up to all of us. And the perversity of this thing is, what I do doesn't matter as much for me necessarily as it matters for you. What I do either creates or breaks the chain of transmission. And it's that chain of transmission that takes one person having, going to a party on Tuesday and turning it into, 300 people who have the disease 3 weeks later, who pass it to another 600 people, of whom 147 die. That's where people, where the role in the chain, the place in the chain, is sometimes almost invisible to each of us, and where the responsibility for each of us becomes so much greater, because the impact is not for me today, but for somebody else 3 weeks from now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think some of our problem is, A, that lack of personal discipline, and 2, part of it is messaging from the top. Again, I thought Governor Raimondo yesterday was incredibly confusing, focusing on factoids, which I think the numbers clearly show she's incorrect. And she said, we're doing more testing now than we were before the pause. That's simply not true. There were more tests the week prior, and then since the pause ended, and the level of testing right now just isn't that high. We used to get at least a couple days a week an 18 or a 20,000 day testing day, and right now we're getting, you know, 7s to 12,000. The numbers just are not correct. The second thing which I was very surprised at was, I don't know how, if you're, you know, we've been the most contagious state per capita. Now we're the 6th most contagious, and she's talking like we should have a victory party and put up mission accomplished on the aircraft carrier. And the numbers don't show that. I thought her message was going to be, and she kind of got to it at the end, which is, you got to stay home this Christmas. You know, if you love your family, this is the year to take a break. If we get another spike on top of hospitalizations at 440 off of Christmas, we're in big, big trouble.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I think the message is, you know, I mean, I was very troubled by the message that was eat in our restaurants and shop in our stores. I think the message needs to be stay close to your family, buy local, you know, but get people to bring things out to the curb, you know, do takeout and do it a lot to support each other. But, you know, please, don't be in the big box stores. Don't be in stores at all. Stay home and break the chain of transmission. Stay home, please, and stay home like for a month before we even think about going out. Just stay home.
Yeah, I have to say, I was surprised. Listen, there's one more shopping day before Christmas. There's plenty of ways to do it safe. If you need a last-minute book, call up a Barrington Books or a Wayland Books or the folks over in Pawtucket, Porter's Place, Stillwater, and order that book, drive up. I'm sure any one of those stores will bring it out to the curb. You can put it on your credit card ahead of time. Support that locally independent, locally owned business, but stay out of big, convoluted, lined up checkout lines and crowded aisles in Target and Best Buy and all the rest of it. It's just, it's not worth the risk to you and your family. Secondly, to your point on eating out, support the local restaurants, but you got to take it out, and you got to pick it up or take it home. Dr. Fine, how critical is this Christmas? You know, we saw the impact, we saw the jump in hospitalizations, we saw the impact from Thanksgiving. We're now at the 440, 480, whatever the number is on any given day of hospitalization. How important is what people do over the next 4 or 5 days to, you know, our state's future for the next few months, economically and health-wise?
Josh, it's everything. I mean, it's everything. Everybody has a choice starting now. And that choice is we can spread the disease, see more people die, and wreck our economy if we want to go be with lots of other people. Or we can stay home and really shrink the progress of the disease. If everybody just stayed home, we will see this disease shrink massively. I mean, look at what's happening to influenza. It's an amazing thing. You know, we're seeing almost no influenza around the country for the first time in as long as everybody can remember, because we've reduced, you know, people's interaction a certain percent. We can do to COVID what we've done to influenza. We just have to work harder at it because so many people are susceptible to COVID, you know, whereas relatively few of us are actually susceptible to influenza each year. So we've got a bigger hill to climb for COVID, but what we did with influenza shows us that we can do this.
Dr. Michael Fine, thank you so much. Greatly appreciate you joining us today. As soon as we get the numbers from the Department of Health, we'll have them up and out to everybody. I guess both our pleas are, based on all the numbers we track on a daily basis, you know, as painful as it is, as much as we want to be together during the holidays and for so many Rhode Islanders for Christmas, this is the year that folks really need to stay home, be within their individual family unit, Zoom away, have a great cocktail. Tonight, the Celtics are on, PC's on, your eyes on. It's a perfect night to stay home and enjoy some sports. And please, please be as safe as possible over these next few days. Wear your mask. Get some great takeout from a Rhode Island restaurant. Call the local bookstore and ask if you can swing by and pick it up at the curbside. Everybody, please stay safe and have a great holiday.
Thanks, Josh.